There are people in this world who have everything: knowledge, intelligence, wealth, comfort, yet they walk in darkness, unable to see what's right in front of them. And then there are others, people who seem lost, broken or forgotten, yet their hearts suddenly awaken to a light that changes their entire life. Why? What is the secret behind this difference? Why does guidance touch some hearts so powerfully and pass by others silently? Guidance is one of the greatest mysteries of existence. It's something every soul yearns for, yet not everyone receives it in the same way or at the same time. Some people are born into environments of truth and still wander aimlessly, while others grow up surrounded by disbelief, yet somehow discover light on their own. This paradox makes us wonder, why do some hearts awaken while others remain asleep? Even when the same truth is presented before them, the answer lies deep within the unseen connection between the heart and its creator. A connection built on sincerity, humility, and readiness to accept what's real. Guidance is not a reward that one earns through mere effort, nor is it withheld out of injustice. It's like a light that searches for a place to settle, and that place must be clean, open, and receptive. Imagine a beam of sunlight falling on two mirrors, one polished, one covered in dust. The light touches both equally, yet only one reflects it. That's how divine truth operates. The message of guidance is everywhere. In sacred words, in the stillness of nature, in the cries of the soul when it's alone. But not every heart reflects it. Some are too clouded with pride, desire, or disbelief to let it in. Guidance begins where the ego ends. The moment a person admits, I don't know everything, I need to be shown, that's when the first door opens. The light doesn't come to those who demand proof for their arrogance, but to those who seek understanding with humility. Even the most intelligent person can miss the truth if they are blinded by self-righteousness. On the other hand, someone uneducated, someone who has made mistakes, can receive deep understanding simply because their heart whispers, show me what's right. The Creator doesn't measure by words, appearances, or lineage. He measures the condition of the heart. Every person in this world is given chances, small signs that point them toward what's real. Some notice those signs in the form of inner restlessness, some through unexpected events, others through the words of a stranger. But when the signs are ignored again and again, the heart begins to harden. The voice of conscience becomes faint. The message feels distant. This is not because the truth has disappeared, but because the person has trained themselves not to feel it. When the heart becomes numb to truth, even the clearest signs lose meaning. That's when guidance stops being seen. Not because it's no longer offered, but because the eyes of the soul have closed. Yet, the beauty of guidance is that it's always near. A single moment of honesty can bring it rushing back. When someone who has spent years in darkness finally says, I'm lost, help me find the way, the doors that were closed begin to unlock. That's the secret. Guidance is never far. It's only waiting for sincerity. It doesn't matter how many mistakes a person has made or how far they've gone. The moment they turn back with a heart that truly seeks, the light responds. But here's what most people overlook. Guidance is not just about information or knowledge. It's transformation. It's not about knowing what's right but becoming aligned with it. Many know the truth but don't live by it. Guidance isn't about hearing the words of truth. It's about allowing those words to penetrate the heart until they reshape who you are. Some read, listen, and study endlessly yet feel nothing. Others hear one verse, one reminder, and it changes their life forever. That's the mystery. It's not the size of the message, it's the softness of the heart that receives it. When a person is guided, it's as though a veil has been lifted. The world looks the same, but everything feels different. They find meaning in what once seemed random, patience in what once felt unbearable, and peace in what once caused fear. That transformation is not visible from the outside, but it's the truest form of light. A light that doesn't just illuminate the mind but revives the soul. Guidance is not a possession that anyone can boast about. It's a trust that must be protected, nurtured, and constantly renewed. Because just as it can be given, it can also fade if neglected. Every act of arrogance, every sin without repentance, every ignored reminder dims that light a little more. And every moment of humility, every tear of sincerity, every prayer whispered from the depths of the heart makes it shine brighter. In the end, The mystery of guidance reminds us that truth is not about luck or birth or background. It's about the state of one's heart. The doors of guidance are always open, but only those who knock with sincerity can enter. The light is always shining, but only those who remove the dust of pride and heedlessness from their hearts can reflect it. That is the secret, the mystery behind why some hearts are illuminated while others remain in the dark. The heart is not just a physical organ that beats to keep us alive. It's the center of consciousness, the mirror of truth, and the seat of faith. It's where the light of understanding settles or where the shadows of confusion take hold. The condition of this heart determines whether a person walks in clarity or remains lost in darkness. Guidance isn't denied to anyone. It's often the heart itself that blocks it. When the heart becomes covered with layers of arrogance, sin, pride, or heedlessness, even the most powerful truth cannot enter. It's not that the message is weak. It's that the door of the heart is locked from the inside. Every human being is born with a heart capable of recognizing truth. Deep within, there is an instinct, a spiritual compass that naturally leans toward what is pure, just, and good. But as life continues, that compass can become corrupted. The constant exposure to pride, greed, lust, and worldly distractions covers the heart with veils. These veils aren't visible, but their effects are. A heart covered in ego refuses to admit its flaws. It rejects advice, mocks reminders, and dismisses reflection. It becomes so focused on proving itself right that it forgets to ask whether it is right. And that is where guidance stops, not because it isn't offered, but because it isn't wanted. The truth doesn't argue its way into a heart, it waits to be invited. The more humble a person becomes, the more sensitive the heart grows. A soft heart feels the weight of a wrong action. It trembles when reminded. It feels uneasy when distant from its creator. On the other hand, a hardened heart feels nothing. It can hear verses of truth and not be moved, witness miracles and remain unaffected, experience blessings and still complain. That's the tragedy of a closed heart. It sees everything but learns nothing. A heart becomes hard not overnight, but through a slow process of neglect. Every time a person hears truth and ignores it, a thin layer of darkness covers the heart. Each sin committed without remorse leaves a stain. With time, those stains build up until the heart becomes numb. The person stops feeling guilt. They stop reflecting. They even begin to justify their actions. When that happens, guidance no longer reaches them, not because they weren't shown the way, but because they stopped looking for it. It's like a mirror turned away from the sun. The light still shines, but the reflection is gone. But there's also hope, because the same heart that hardens can soften again. One moment of honesty can undo years of negligence. A single tear shed out of regret can cleanse what countless reminders could not. The heart is living, it responds to sincerity. When a person finally drops their arrogance, admits their weakness, and says, "I need to change," that's when light finds its way back in. It doesn't matter how long they've been in darkness. It doesn't matter how far they've gone. The moment they truly want to return, the path begins to appear. People often think guidance is about external actions, reading, listening, practicing. And while those are essential, they only work when the heart is open. Without humility, even the most beautiful reminder sounds empty. Without reflection, even sacred words become routine. The heart must be awake for the message to take root. That's why some people hear the same truth that changes others' lives, yet feel nothing. It's not the speaker or the message that's lacking. It's the readiness of the heart to receive. There's a deep connection between purity and perception. The cleaner the heart, the clearer its vision. When arrogance fills it, everything becomes distorted. Pride makes a person think they know enough. Envy blinds them to others' goodness. Greed convinces them that peace lies in possessions. All of these diseases cloud the heart's sight, and when sight is clouded, even truth looks unclear. The key then is purification, not of the body but of the heart, to cleanse it from ego, to soften it with remembrance, and to guard it from the poisons of arrogance and hypocrisy. The state of the heart decides how close or far a person is from guidance. When the heart is alive, even a whisper of truth shakes it. When it's dead, even thunder cannot move it. The goal, therefore, isn't to chase light from the outside, but to prepare the heart from within. Because guidance doesn't enter by force, it enters through permission. The one who purifies their heart grants that permission. In the end, the journey toward light is not about how much we know, but how open we are. Knowledge fills the mind, but humility opens the heart. And when the heart is open, even a single spark of truth is enough to light an entire life. That is the secret of guidance. It begins lives and ends in the condition of the heart. Sincerity is the invisible force that separates those who find guidance from those who lose it. It's not measured by how many words we speak, how many rituals we perform, or how much knowledge we possess. It's measured by the purity of intention behind it all. The difference between a heart that receives light and one that doesn't often comes down to a single question: why am I doing this? The truth is, every action, every prayer, every moment of seeking only becomes meaningful when it's done with sincerity. Without it, even the most impressive deeds turn hollow, and even the simplest act, if done purely for the truth, becomes a doorway to light. Sincerity is the language of the heart. It cannot be faked and it cannot be imitated. People may be deceived by appearances, but the one who gives guidance looks straight into the heart. When a person prays, listens, or learns with hidden pride, to impress, to appear righteous, or to gain status, their effort remains on the surface. It never penetrates the depth of the soul. But when someone turns to truth with a trembling heart, quietly whispering, I just want what's right, even if it humbles me, the heavens open for them. That's the power of sincerity. It unlocks guidance where logic and status cannot. The beauty of sincerity is that it doesn't require perfection. A person may stumble 1,000 times, but if each time they fall, they rise again with an honest desire to be better, their heart continues to move closer to light. On the other hand, a person may perform countless good deeds, but if those deeds are done to be seen, to gain reputation, or to feed their ego, they remain empty. Guidance doesn't respond to noise. It responds to truth, and truth lives where sincerity lives. Many people confuse external action with internal purity. They think that outward performance automatically brings closeness to the Creator, but it doesn't. A single tear shed in the darkness out of guilt, a single moment of reflection done sincerely for the sake of truth, weighs heavier than 1,000 empty rituals. Sincerity gives life to deeds. Without it, everything becomes routine, lifeless motions performed without meaning. With it, even the smallest act becomes a form of worship, a step toward guidance, a light that grows from within. Sincerity also demands honesty with oneself. It means asking difficult questions. Am I doing this because it's right, or because it benefits me? Am I seeking truth or seeking validation? These questions strip away the illusions that cover the heart. A sincere person doesn't hide behind excuses or appearances. They face their flaws, acknowledge their weaknesses, and strive to correct them. That humility, that inner honesty, is what attracts divine help. Guidance doesn't come to the one who thinks they are already right. It comes to the one who admits they may be wrong and wants to be shown the way. There are countless examples of people who lived in darkness, far from truth, until one moment of sincerity changed everything. They didn't perform miracles or speak grand words. They simply turned their hearts toward the Creator and said, if you are there, guide me. And the moment that whisper left their lips, their journey began. Because sincerity, even when small, is powerful. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be seen. It only needs to be real. A sincere heart also brings peace. When you do things for others' approval, you live in constant anxiety, worried about how you appear, what people think, or whether you're enough. But when you act only for truth, for the sake of what's right, that burden disappears. You no longer perform for an audience, you live for meaning. That kind of peace can't be bought or taught. It's the peace that comes from being true to yourself and your Creator. But sincerity must be protected. It's fragile. Pride, envy, and self-righteousness can poison it without you even noticing. The moment you start comparing your goodness to others or expecting recognition for your efforts, you begin to lose it. That's why the sincere constantly renew their intentions. They remind themselves why they started. They don't chase perfection, they chase truth. They don't boast about their goodness. They beg for their sincerity to be accepted. That humility keeps their hearts alive. In the end, sincerity is the essence of guidance. It's the spark that turns knowledge into wisdom, action into devotion, and failure into redemption. Without sincerity, nothing matters. With it, everything changes. The secret of guidance is not found in grand gestures or public displays. It's found in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when the heart whispers honestly, I only want to be right with you. That whisper, if it's genuine, can open doors that no effort alone could ever unlock. Guidance begins with sincerity, grows through humility, and lives in the hearts of those who seek truth, not for praise or reward, but because their souls long to be real. That is the power of sincerity, the unseen force that draws light to the heart and keeps it there, even through the darkest nights. There are moments in life when everything collapses, when plans fail, when loved ones leave, when peace disappears, and you feel as if you're standing in the ruins of what you once called your life. In those moments, the human heart often cries out, why is this happening to me? But what if those very moments that break us are actually the moments designed to guide us? What if the pain you're feeling isn't meant to destroy you, but to direct you? Sometimes the hardest days are not punishments, but invitations. Invitations to return, to awaken, and to rediscover what truly matters. Trials are among the most mysterious blessings in existence. They are not pleasant, and they often come when we least expect them. They strip away comfort, expose weakness, and humble even the strongest of souls. Yet within that pain lies something sacred. When everything else fails, the noise of the world fades, and the heart finally becomes quiet enough to hear the truth it's been ignoring. In that silence, something begins to stir. Awareness, humility, dependence. It's through pain that many people discover the light they could never see in ease. When life is smooth, we often forget who provides our comfort. We grow attached to people, to money, to plans, believing that control is in our hands. But then something happens, a loss, a betrayal, a disappointment, and suddenly everything we build begins to crumble. In that moment, we realize how fragile our sense of control was. And as painful as that realization is, it's the beginning of something profound. Because only when pride is broken can humility be born. Only when the illusions of strength fade can true strength be discovered. There are countless people who found guidance not in peace, but in pain. Some lost everything, yet through that loss found meaning. Others faced humiliation or failure, yet through it, their hearts awakened to a reality beyond worldly success. Pain purifies. It removes false attachments. It forces the soul to look beyond the surface of life and ask the deeper questions, questions that lead to truth. Without hardship, most hearts would never look inward. Without loss, many would never seek what is eternal. When a person suffers, they stand at a crossroads. One path leads to bitterness, the other to awakening. Pain can either make you hard or make you humble. It can push you away from truth or it can draw you closer to it. The difference lies in how you respond. Those who see pain only as punishment close themselves off from its wisdom. But those who ask, what am I meant to learn from this? Begin to unlock the secret of guidance hidden within their suffering. Every trial carries a message, but it can only be read by the heart that's willing to reflect. The most profound transformations often come from moments of heartbreak. When the world turns its back, when friends disappear, when success fades, that's when the heart turns upward, when it finally realizes that there's something greater than everything it was chasing. Many people, before their hardship, lived in distraction. But when they were stripped of everything, they found a peace they never knew existed. That is the paradox of pain. It hurts, but it heals in ways nothing else can. There's a hidden mercy in every hardship. Sometimes what you lose is exactly what was keeping you away from your purpose. Sometimes what breaks you is what reshapes you. The things you prayed to keep may have been the very things that would have blinded you forever. It's only when you look back that you realize every loss was guiding you home. Every tear had a meaning. Every unanswered prayer was a form of protection. Guidance often enters through the cracks of a broken heart. When pride is shattered, when ego is crushed, when certainty disappears, that's when the soul becomes ready to receive light. The Creator doesn't always guide through ease. Sometimes He guides through emptiness. Because when you have nothing left to hold on to, you finally reach for what's real. So that the next time life tests you, remember this, the pain you're feeling may not be punishment. It might be preparation. It might be the gentle force pushing you toward the truth you've been avoiding. The path of light is often paved with tears, but those who walk through their storms with faith and reflection will emerge not just healed, but transformed. Guidance doesn't always come in the form of calm. Sometimes it comes as chaos meant to cleanse. Sometimes it comes through loss meant to liberate. Sometimes it comes through a moment of pain so deep that the heart has no choice but to change. The very thing that hurts you may be the thing that saves you. And when you finally understand that, you'll see that every trial was never against you. It was always for you. There comes a point in every person's life when truth stands before them. It might appear in the form of a reminder, a verse, a loss, a person, or even a whisper in the stillness of the night. It reaches out gently, not to force, but to awaken. But when that truth is ignored, when the heart repeatedly turns away, something begins to change inside. The light that once flickered starts to dim. The conscience that once spoke loudly begins to fade. That is the silent tragedy of rejection. It doesn't always happen in one moment. It happens slowly, as the heart learns how to stop listening. Guidance is a mercy, not an entitlement. It is offered with love again and again, but never imposed. Every time truth comes and we ignore it, every time we excuse our wrongdoing or justify our arrogance, we take a step away from light. At first, the distance feels small. We still recognize what's right. We still feel guilt. We still have the desire to change. But with time, the heart begins to adapt to the darkness. What once felt wrong begins to feel normal. What once caused guilt becomes a habit. And the more a person silences their conscience, the quieter it becomes. Rejection doesn't always come from disbelief. Sometimes it comes from pride. When a person believes they already know enough, when they refuse to be corrected, when they choose the comfort of ego over the discomfort of growth, they close themselves off from guidance. The truth doesn't stay where it isn't welcomed. It doesn't force its way in. It departs quietly, leaving behind a heart that feels empty but doesn't know why. That emptiness is the first sign of spiritual distance. The person may still appear outwardly the same, but inwardly, the light begins to fade. The danger of rejecting truth lies in how subtle it is. No one wakes up one day and says, I reject guidance. It happens gradually through small compromises, neglected prayers, ignored reminders, and excuses made in the name of convenience. Every ignored whisper of conscience strengthens the walls around the heart, and soon even the most powerful signs stop moving it. This is not because guidance is withheld, but because the heart itself has lost its ability to receive. Yet even in this state, mercy still reaches out. There are moments when the soul is shaken, a sudden loss, an unexpected reminder, a wave of emptiness, all meant to wake the heart before it's too late. But when those moments too are ignored, when every chance is met with defiance, the heart begins to seal. It no longer sees light as light. It no longer feels the sweetness of peace. It begins to find comfort in falsehood and irritation in truth. That is the most frightening consequence of rejection. Not punishment from the outside, but blindness from within. A sealed heart doesn't mean one that's beyond hope, but it does mean one that has lost sensitivity. It can only be softened again through deep humility and sincere repentance. But the longer a person delays, the harder it becomes to return. The guilt that once could have saved them disappears, replaced by indifference. And indifference is far worse than sin, because sin can lead to remorse. But indifference kills the will to change. Every person who turns away from truth does so at a cost, not the cost of worldly loss, but of inner peace. The further you walk from guidance, the heavier life feels. You may gain everything on the outside, wealth, reputation, status, but inside there's a quiet emptiness that nothing can feel. That emptiness is the absence of light, the soul's silent mourning for what it has lost. But even then, the door is never fully closed. The moment a person admits, I was wrong, I need help, I want to return, the light rushes back in. Because guidance doesn't abandon those who seek it. It only steps back from those who reject it. The tragedy, however, is that some people never reach that moment. They live their lives distracted, chasing temporary things until truth becomes a stranger to them. The consequence of rejection isn't only seen in this life, it's seen in the gradual loss of meaning. Life without guidance becomes a cycle of pursuit and disappointment. You chase achieve, and still feel empty. You win, but something inside you feels defeated. That is the price of turning away from truth. You lose connection, you lose clarity, and eventually you lose yourself. The heart wasn't created to live without light. It suffocates in darkness. It withers without remembrance. Every rejection of truth makes that suffocation stronger. Every ignored sign deepens that darkness. But for the one who realizes this before it's too late, who breaks the pattern of rejection with one moment of honesty, that single moment can undo years of blindness. Because the door to light never truly closes. It only waits for the heart to knock again. The search for guidance begins not with the lips, but with the heart. It is not about saying the right words or following a formula. It is about cultivating the sincerity that says, I truly want to know what's right, even if it means changing everything about myself. True guidance cannot be demanded. It must be invited. It's not found in arrogance, nor in argument. It's found in humility, in silence, in the moments when you kneel before truth and admit that you cannot walk alone. To seek guidance is to open yourself completely, to strip away pride, ego, and the illusion of control. It's a spiritual surrender, a confession that your knowledge, your plans, and your desires are limited while the truth is infinite. Many people claim to want guidance, yet they secretly only want confirmation. They want the truth to align with their comfort, but guidance often disrupts comfort. It exposes what you've ignored. It challenges what you've justified. It asks you to look into the mirror of your soul and confront the parts of yourself you've been hiding from. Only a heart brave enough to do that can truly be guided. The first step in seeking guidance is honesty. Be brutally honest with yourself. Ask, do I want to be right, or do I just want to feel right? Because the heart that seeks truth for convenience will never find it. The one who seeks truth for truth's sake, however, will be led even through the darkest confusion. Guidance does not depend on status, background, or knowledge. It depends on the purity of your desire. The simplest soul, when sincere, is guided before the most learned mind filled with arrogance. The second step is humility. To be guided, you must first become small before truth. You must be willing to admit that you don't know everything, that you've made mistakes, that perhaps you've been blind in ways you never realized. Guidance does not come to the proud. It comes to the broken, to those who have fallen enough times to realize that their strength alone is not enough. Every fall is a lesson, every failure a reminder. You cannot reach light without bowing before it. The third step is consistency. Guidance is not a single moment, it's a lifelong journey. There will be times when your heart feels strong and times when it feels lost again. But the one who continues to ask, continues to seek, continues to knock, that person will never be left without direction. The Creator responds not to perfection, but to persistence. A person who keeps asking to be guided, even when they stumble, is already on the path of guidance. Another secret in seeking guidance is purification. The heart must be cleansed from the toxins that cloud its vision: arrogance, envy, greed, lust, and insincerity. These are like dust covering a mirror. No matter how bright the light, it cannot reflect until the surface is clean. This cleansing doesn't happen overnight. It takes discipline, remembrance, repentance, and self-reflection. It takes time to unlearn false attachments, to quiet the ego that whispers, "You're fine the way you are," and to listen to the deeper voice that says, "You can be better." To seek guidance also means to act upon what you already know. The light you've been given will only expand when you live by it. If you ignore what's clear, you lose sight of what's hidden. Every act of obedience, every moment of honesty, every struggle against temptation opens the heart a little more, making it ready to receive more light. But every act of disobedience done knowingly dims that same light, making the truth harder to recognize next time. Guidance is not given to those who sit idle. It's given to those who walk, even if they stumble with every step. Most importantly, guidance must be sought with humility before the one who gives it. Speak to him in your own words. You don't need eloquence, you need honesty. Tell him your confusion, your fear, your doubts, your weaknesses. Say, "Show me the truth, even if it hurts. Guide me, even if it means breaking me first." Because when that request comes from the depths of the heart, it never goes unanswered. The secret of guidance lies in wanting it more than anything else. Not for pride, not for recognition, not for reward, but because soul so longs to live in truth. And once you taste that truth, you'll realize that nothing in this world compares to the peace it brings. The heart that seeks guidance with sincerity will always find it, no matter how lost it feels. Because light doesn't abandon the one who keeps walking toward it. It simply waits for the moment when the heart is finally ready to see. That is how guidance is found, not through force, not through argument, but through humility, honesty, and a desperate longing to be right with the truth, no matter what it costs. And when that longing becomes real, the doors that once seemed closed will open in ways you never imagined.